Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, the Bee at LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. Our pollen is silver and our nectar is gold, preserving our wealth is honey of old, and like ancient metals, we hold our own. And today I have Space Miner with me, and we just thought we would pop in here and talk with you guys and see what Space Miner can pull out of my head that doesn't get me in too much trouble, hopefully. How you
Hopefully.
doing, Space Miner?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming. So you've been kind of busy lately, eh? Out, you want to tell anybody what you do, or is that something you do or not want to do, or as far as
No, I'm
for
good.
your other job?
Yeah, for anybody that's new to knowing me, I'm a wildland firefighter. I'm a machine operator, specifically on the fires. I'm a soft track operator. It's a unique and specialized piece of equipment, and it's put into some pretty tight situations. But I come from a background of oil field and construction and logging and mitigation and technical diagnostics and I found precious metals and I found home. So
No doubt. No, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, before we get going here, I see Joseph in the chat, and I want to say, Joseph, you're going to have a package coming your way here before long. I just wanted to let you know. And thanks for helping me out. And yeah, so construction, that's where I used to be pretty heavily as well myself. What type of construction I've done, like from building houses in the country to big grocery chains, from kind of the ground up builds all the way till kind of getting them up and running. So, but what's kind of your forte as far as construction, or your main background in it?
um, mostly like spec construction. So one offs, homes, homes here, homes there. I've participated in like houseboat builds and I've participated in larger construction as well, like schools and stuff. And yeah, and that's where I got into machine operation too.
Oh,
So
really? Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I've actually worked on a few schools as well. Those are interesting.
they're big
How,
projects. A lot goes into that.
yep, yep. How did that get you into what? And what did you call it again? You said that got you into the job that
Machine
you have.
operation.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, heavy equipment.
yeah.
So backhoes, loaders, dozers, scrapers, excavators, just everything,
Cool.
everything that you can imagine moving
Aw-
dirt.
Awesome. Yeah. That's
What got
interesting.
you
So
into the
that,
construction, B?
well, I grew up on a ranch in Montana, and of course, I was just going to say that is something that enables you to just kind of get your hands into a little bit of everything, as far as like, you're driving a pickup at a toddler, kind of standing on the seat and holding the wheel while it's in low, and the dad, my father's throwing hay off to the cows in the back. And so you learn how to drive pickups, and then your four-wheelers and tractors and swathers and balers and combines, and so once you get a feel for kind of the basics of that type of big machinery, it gives you kind of a rough idea, which leads me to when I was working here in Denver, we had a big construction site, and it was a grocery store that we were starting from the ground up. And the foreman at the time hollered at me. I was trying to move this. It was a bi-directional tractor where the hind wheels can turn on their own. If you've ever driven one of those or not, I don't know. But I was in there and trying to figure out how to get the wheels kind of lined up. It was in an awkward position. I was trying to move it, and I was, going kind of slow trying to figure it out. And the foreman yelled at me, "What's taking you so long? Get out of there!" And so I hop out, sorry, sorry, and he gets in and puts it in reverse and backs up, and he backs over a car, drove right over the back of a car, because he was looking at his front wheels and thought they would be aligned with his back wheels, because if you don't know that there's a tractor that the hind wheels can get totally offset to the front wheels and still be going the same direction. And so he didn't realize that was happening, and he just backed right over a car, and he hopped out and said, "Okay, sorry, you go ahead." I got back in. But yeah, no. So in the country, you get to dabble in a little bit of all that stuff, and so that's what got me into. And then I left once I had gotten out of school and came down to Colorado, because where I was at, there was not a lot of jobs and money to be had and whatnot. And so then I came down here with some other people, and we all came from the country, and we were apt to work hard, and so we were able to kind of work our way up through the construction, and ended up. And then eventually, I started my own company and subcontracted and did all kinds of construction. But yeah, and then like you, I found gold and silver and found home. So.
Yep. I guess I'm just one of those down to earth guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended, I suppose. But
right.
Yeah,
space miner, mining in the dirt. Yeah. So let's hear a little bit about that name.
Space miner?
Yeah. Mining, I can understand. Because like you say, you like playing in the dirt, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a multifaceted name. But really it's derived from like literally that, digging holes into the side of the mountain, mining for space, like for extra room, for a place to go. Like, dude, we live in the desert, and there's a lot of places we like to go regularly, and there ain't no shade. And it was all kind of just started there, and we just like, you know what? Let's do like so many in history have done, and just dig right in, dude. And we were mining for space, and but the name didn't come from that. The name is really more of like an instigator's name. It has to do with the globe Earth flat Earth thing.
Wow.
And with my name like that, you really don't know what side I'm on. And so it's real fun to kind of just peck at people. And so it's pretty funny when I go in there with the name Space Miner into the flat Earth community. I go in with the name Space Miner, and they all throw their hands up and hate me, and having no idea that I'm willing to consider, any good information. Is it good information or bad information? That's how I see it. I'm kind of like 0 and 1 about that. But then I go into a globe Earth community, and they all just, naturally think I'm one of the crowd. And I'm not, because quite frankly, a lot of that science just don't add up, and it's not that I believe this way or that way, it's that I believe in good information, bad information, right and wrong, true, false. And
okay, very cool.
Yeah. But I didn't have a way to troll anybody. And then, so I thought, that this combination of things, and I'm just trying to cut out a piece of space for myself, space in YouTube, space in the world, space in people's lives, and we're all just
Space
trying to
mining.
cut some space. Cool. I'm space mining now, and it all just kind of came together, and I was like, you know what? Feels right. So
that's cool. Yeah, okay. Well, that adds quite a bit to the name and understanding it. That's cool. That's interesting. I like that. Yeah, there's a lot of I've been into a couple of those those types of things, and you can get pretty heavily pulled one way or the other in those. Like there's pretty heavy bias on both sides, and arguments. They just too much arguing as opposed to just hearing both sides and listening to the information, right? And seeing what like you say, what you can pull out of it that is true. So yeah,
Right. And
interesting.
I think that's one of the reasons I love precious metals too, is it's so relatable to like core fundamental like principles of understanding, principles of logic, principles of reason, and precious metals meet a lot of these like cognitive faculties, and they match up with my cognitive faculties, I should say. And it's just really like intuitive. It's a very intuitive commodity, you know, with very defined limits, and so it feels like a playful rope, you know, in the hand. It's just, it's what you want, kind of what you want to make out of it, because like, look, the rules are already laid out. Now just play the game your way, and everybody gets to play the game their way as long as everybody understands the rules, and the rules are simple. It's a limited product, and it takes if it takes effort, money, energy to produce the product that we hold in our hand. And at the end of the day, you're either buying it or you're selling it, you know? And so it's really easy to process the information, but it offers such like a vast array of ways to approach it. Like, it's like the notes of music, like we only have a few notes that we recognize amongst each other, your primary notes, but look at the combinations that come out of it. And
Right.
so precious
Yeah,
metals is,
that's very interesting that you say that. I've never quite thought about it like that, but yeah, that's very true. That's cool.
yeah. And so finding people like you, dude, stumbling on your channel, not, to fill your head with hot air, man, but seriously, stumbling on your channel, you were demonstrating and applying like logic, reason, factual discernment, and you didn't just like go with the toe. And I really appreciated those core principles. And then you had Ian on, and Ian's freaking awesome, and he's quite similar. Yet we're also, between all of us, we're a pretty diverse crowd, man.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but we're all playing by the rules, and what a coincidence that we're all in precious metals, and we care about our the people around us. We care about our economies. We care about our countries. We care about the world, and these things go hand in hand, don't they? The precious metals and, you know being a good steward of your world. you know
yeah. That's for me. That's kind of how I got into metals. It wasn't even like you're talking about playing the game. And that's very much how I view it. It's the real thing, and however you're playing it is how you're going to be affected. And I find that, I like that. But I came into it more from uh, trying to be an upright person myself, trying to, I was, I had a son, and that really kind of got me thinking in depth on things about his life and what where I'm at, and I was very blessed to have a wife and a kid, and that just kind of hit me as, wow, I gotta focus in here and figure out what's going on. And at the time, there seemed to be lots of lies in the world, and obvious lies in the mainstream media, and society was just kind of going along with it all, and it really started to weigh on me. And so I started looking into, you know, trying to make myself someone who I could trust, at least myself. Is my word true? is am I honorable in my handshake and mean what I say what I mean, and that's another, like, language. I've really found with language, along with some other things, is just kind of got twisted where, a car drives by and you say, oh, that's so wicked, and you actually mean, that's a really nice car. But we say it twisted and backwards, and so I came in to silver in that way, and that I was looking to protect my family and going about doing that. And I was actually at a gun show, and I had my son with me, and we were walking through, and at one of those, they have all types of different stuff that you would go camping with, or they have a lot of different elements, that you can look into and purchase. So we were going looking through all the tables and whatnot, and one of them that I came onto had precious metals laid out across it. And the guy was talking to me and my son, and it was nice, and I just was talking to a little bit with about him, and he just kind of told me, I think I can't remember what I asked, but probably something like, what's here? Why are you doing this? Why would I want this? And I think he just kind of gave me a basic rundown. I really don't remember now what he said, but I went home and I was really, it caught my eye. What he said caught my attention, and it made me, I think he probably mentioned the monetary system, and so that's where I started to really look into, what is silver and gold and what's going on with our monetary system, and that tied in with all the lies in the mainstream media that I was waking up to, and protection for your family and these things. And that's when I went. So that got me to think, looking at the monetary system, and you know silver and gold today. I knew it was money in the Bible. I knew in the past we'd used it for a long time. And so I started looking into that, like, what is the deal with money? And we have dollar bills that you could use to exchange for gold and silver, and now you can't do that. And so that just got me looking into it, and the deeper I looked into it, the more I realized, wow, this is one more big deception that I am experiencing without. I knew something was off, and I knew that I needed to start looking at it and paying attention to it, because that was kind of my mindset at the time. Is, let's, like you say, when you go into these chats where you have these crazy opposing viewpoints, and, well, instead of just one or the other extreme, what can I glean from either side that's true, right? And that's what I was experiencing at that time, and with the new family, and I was, you know, looking at all the deception out there, and I thought, okay, here's another one. And of course, it doesn't all come to you at once. So, but I remember thinking that, and thinking, I went back and talked to him again, and it took several months, probably half a year before I bought anything. I was looking at it and checking prices and just thinking about it, and finally I realized, I think that this is a deception, and that we're experiencing some of the things that are talked about in, when a country goes down, for like Weimar, Germany, or whatever these famous stories about these things are, and how deception creeps in with it. I learned that over time, but anyway, it all kind of lined up to me. I thought, I'd like to have a little bit of silver. Gold was just too far off for me at the time, and I remember I got my my first ounce, and I remember thinking to myself, the guy that was shown to me originally was just, he had quite a bit in his suitcase, and he was showing a 10-ounce bar, and I remember thinking to myself, because I had a lot of bills and all that stuff, and it just seemed like, man, that would be so cool to have a 10-ounce bar, you know, like, but you know, it just seemed too far off for me. But right when I first started out, I remember thinking that way, and so now that's just kind of funny. But but that you know that was my turning point. Once I held it, once I understood it, and of course, all this time, ever since, I've been trying to talk myself out of it, or you know, like maybe I'm missing something, or you know, blah blah blah. What, you know, something that will change my mind about, you know, thinking that it's a good idea for me and my family to have this. But you know, the more looking into the monetary system you do, the more convinced, at least for me, I have become that, you know, yes, this is a scheme, a uh, a deception. Uh, we're gonna try to pull the wool over your eyes, and but it's just temporary. Maybe we'll turn it back. That's what he said when he took us off. Right, took us off the gold standard. Said, well, we're temporarily closing the gold window. Well, why did he say temporarily? Well, because if you just said money is suddenly monopoly money, you know, the people would be like, now wait a second, you know, we, we now there's nothing back in the dollar. But I think he said, you know, temporarily remove us, you know, temporarily closing the gold window, and so that we'll probably get back on. If things get out of hand, we'll get back on it, you know, in a week or two we'll be back, or a month or two, or a year, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, to now, you
Just
know.
need to flatten the curve, bro. Flatten the curve.
Exactly, exactly. And so
Yeah, you're killing me, man. You. Holy crap. Yeah, you know what, man? You're. I think people kind of miss it whenever they're first deciding whether or not to enter, because it seems like, what the hell am I buying? Something that I'll never even see half the time is what they're thinking. You know, like, I might as well get my stocks with the dividends. You know, and I guess because to them it kind of feels like, I make this purchase, but they don't feel like they're reaping the rewards of it. And I remember my first, like, experience of, like, really entering the precious metals, like, saying, like, it was one thing to buy like a round or two, you know, but then when it was time to, like, invest into it, and I know some people don't like saying buying silver is an investment, but it is to me.
mhm.
But anyways, I remember just, like, the first feeling. I felt so contradicted, because I felt like I was, like, literally taking the food right out of my kid's mouth. Like, this could go a lot of places in the house. Is what I was kind of thinking at the time. And but I sank into it, because I was like, look, I I hear what everybody's saying, you know, and I just sank my teeth into it. I bit the bullet, and to me, it was a gamble. And then I remember, like, shortly after that, that price started to come up, like, and I was thinking, holy moly, like, this is really, really working, and it started to kind of get a little bit exciting, and, like, I wasn't even thinking about, like, long-term holds or nothing, like, this was happening right in front of me. And I remember, like, I was short on some cash, and so I ran in with my little pile of silver. I ran in and sold it off, and I took like a 10% mark on it, and I was up still, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't take any food. This was the money. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
like what it felt like. This is what money's supposed to be about. Like,
right.
really keeping that value, because, like, it's easy to spend cash. Like, that was the one of the first things I discovered. It was easy to spend cash. It's even easier to spend plastic, you know, like, and I recognized that in myself. I was like, dude, cash. Like, I'm one of those guys. People hate me for this, but I believe like cash. Spend it while it's worth something. Spend it on something that's going to last bare
Yes.
minimum a year. You know what I
Right.
mean? Don't buy junk. Don't buy. If you're going to buy the best you can get for for the money you got.
Yeah, and I
And
really like, yeah, that you said cash, because I think, sometimes if you say money, sometimes people get that confused because I'm always saying, and like you probably agree, if you're going to hold your value, you want to hold it in gold or silver, because that is the real money. That is what's going to hold your value. But while you have this fiat that is devaluing at a fast rate, it's much better to have it in anything real, right? Almost. I mean, as long as it's not a stupid purchase or whatever. But if it's in a real tangible that you need, then it's kind of smart to put it there, right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I and this was back whenever, like, pre-COVID. This was the whole pre-COVID thing, and like, I times were already starting to show, like, there was signs, like, I'm a younger guy, like, I'm sure the old timers have been there, done that, whatever. But in my world, like, flags were popping up all over the place, like, it was starting to look a little bit dystopian. And I'm kind of going, kind of like you did, like, something's not right, but I just can't put my finger on it. It's because I was never thinking financially. Like, I was, to me, money was just money,
Right.
and when you bought gold and silver, it was a commodity,
Yep.
and it
Yep.
is, we call it a commodity, and it is, right? But but some commodities are worth more than others. And when you look at currency is a commodity too that they designed to make money off of. It's seigniorage, I think it's called. You know, and it's literally designed. It's a product designed to make money off of you.
To steal
It,
your
it's
value. Yes. Yes.
it's literally designed that way. That's
Yes.
why coinage works the way coinage does. And
Well, our
modern
fiat,
coinage,
our fiat.
yeah, our
Yes.
fiat. Thank you for
Yep.
specifying. But it was really that kind of like realization moment, like, because I really didn't know it, and ignorance is bliss or whatever.
Right.
But but now I do know this, and now I understand this, and I'm going. So now I got this cash that I can keep it as this product that sure, I can take it anywhere and everybody accepts it. Blah blah blah. Right. But or I can buy this other product that lasts forever, and these people are always willing to throw their money at. You know, this is what I was thinking. And but once you start separating these two, you start realizing, like, you got two products here. And this one sucks. It's made of paper and it's backed by nothing. And this one is heavy, dense metal. And I'm like one of those guys that could get excited by a large bag of salt. You know, like like big tubs of flour. I get a kick out of it. When
Yeah.
go to a whiskey facility and see those barrels, and there's just like something special about, like,
Sure.
whole commodity,
Yeah.
pure commodity.
Right.
And so,
Yep.
but like I said, when this beat when this metal beat this paper, you know, I didn't just get my time input. Like, I had to input time to get this paper, you know, and then I took a risk, that this metal would be worth more than this paper. Now that seems kind of dumb, like,
Yep.
and it won. End of story. So
Yep.
what do you want to keep it in? This? And oh, dude, don't even get me started, because I was in stocks and crypto and playing,
Really.
puts and calls, and oh yeah, like,
Very interesting. Okay.
just, dude, all of it was just stupid numbers game until metal started hitting my hand.
Okay. Well, see, I want to mention that. See, like I was explaining earlier, I literally paid no attention to money. Like, I was the worst person. Well, maybe not the worst, but like I spent my money, and I worked and got another paycheck, and I spent it, and I worked and I got another paycheck and I spent it, and that's just I didn't I didn't I thought the least about money out of probably anybody that I had met. Like my brother is very much knows where every penny he puts goes. I didn't even do. Did I put the change in my pocket? I didn't pay attention. Uh, and so I never was good with money at all until I got into silver. And now suddenly I've got a nice little savings going for me. But I would have never had that if I didn't figure out the scheme that was taking place. I needed reality for me to realize what was going on so that I understood the value. And once you understand the value, instead of it depreciating always, now you're increasing. That makes you want to, get more and more, have more and more. So um once I got into silver, I started to understand money a little bit, and I realized that once and the other thing is I understood the scheme. And once you understand that this is a scheme, and they're slowly defrauding everyone, and that everyone is slowly getting pushed down the ladder. And then you add, like I was saying, that was the deception that brought me to all that. So then when you add all of the lies that I knew were in mainstream, it was like, whoa, this is a reality that's taking place that no one understands. Or I should not know. I mean, obviously there's people that understand it, but for the majority of the people are under a delusion that they think is normality, when there's a certain class of people, like that you say, that it's even designed over a seniorage, who are extracting everyone's wealth continually. And now at this point where we're printing trillions of, you see the scale of what's happening, and your groceries getting high, and then you got two boys and you're like, whoa. Whoa. At least for me. And that's what now, of course, I think it's important to have a little bit of savings, and I like to diversify a little bit. But I didn't have stocks. I didn't have, I had my own business. I didn't have health insurance, and there's a whole story behind what happened there that we don't need to get into. But I just wasn't thinking money wise, basically. I'm not greedy. I don't want to be greedy. I don't like people who are greedy. I don't like people who are. I had a rich boss one time, and I was helping him build something, and we argued at a counter over some items that were cheap to begin with, and he must have argued with the guy behind the desk for I don't know how long, and then finally he made him go get his boss or manager, and all to save like a penny or two. Well, and through this whole argument of a half hour or an hour, what it felt like an eternity, and I could have been, getting hundreds of dollars of value done, but here we are arguing over a couple pennies at the counter here.
Yeah,
And
here he is
I
paying your wage while he argues,
and I
costing
just
him an
me
extra.
over a couple pennies, just that type of I don't like that. I don't like haggling for a long time over just like a little bit. It's like you lost. Think about what you could have got it done in the time that you've been haggling over this. That is so much more valuable than the couple cents that you're trying to obtain through haggling. Like that, there's something about that. It just irks me.
Well, and I'm kind of getting that way about like, premiums and spot prices and shit. Like, I'm kind of, dude, I'm kind of getting like bored and sick of it in a way, like at least like when you go into some of these social circles, the way they're using these terms is kind of like boring and crude in a lot of ways, because like a lot of these people don't even realize like here, for example, oh man, I had somewhere else I was going, but we're going down this road now. The spot price, for example, most people right off the bat don't know that there's a bid and an ask. Okay. we'll start there. Secondarily, they don't understand that that very same spot value is it's across the world in a million different currencies, and on top of that, that spot value is adjusted to the appreciation or depreciation of the dollar that day as well. And then on top of that, like market sentiment, and there's a couple other factors that go into a spot price alone, right? And these people, they get, not everybody, there's a lot of very intelligent, look, stupid people don't end up in silver for the most part. You're going to find the majority of your stupid people in gold, if you ask me. But like, no offense to the gold guys, because those guys are rocking it too. I'm just making a point that finances has actually become a bit of a trendy thing, and I think the credit system is a lot to blame for that, because people, they build their credit scores and they're kind of competing with each other, and it's hype. And I got the, this flash, I got this bling called a credit score, a debt score, and when these people started entering commodities markets, it became trendy for them too. It was an enhancement of their trendiness, their desire to be trendy, their desire to be in the know, to be the one that knows, right? And they quite simply just don't know, man, where the hell was I going with this? Bring me back.
No, yeah.
It was.
You were just talking about.
I swear I was going. I
Go ahead.
No, man, I feel like I lost it with the stupid people.
Well, yeah, I don't know, with the bid and the ask and not understanding where they're coming with that, or
yeah, it's easy for us to get sucked up in the trends, in the hype, in the terminologies, in all these special names of market moves, and I'm kind of just past it in a lot of ways. I just recognize it, like I interpret all of this through like caveman intellect, of like good, bad, worth something, not worth something, and now you just got to recognize, like, you can look at any chart for any freaking metal and they're all doing the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. And then you could look at any currency anywhere and it's all doing the same stupid thing. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out which way's the good way.
exactly. Yeah.
And so, like, in that regard, like dollar cost averaging, it works. You don't get the trendiest, hypest deal, but unless you're day trading it, like, unless you're sitting there on Robinhood all day, buy in, buy out, it in a lot of ways, it kind of doesn't matter, because just give it enough time and you're going to win. Like, every premium piece I ever, like, gritted my teeth about, it, is 10, $15 more today than it was a while, 2-3 years ago.
See,
We've almost doubled in price in how long?
right. Well, in 3 years we have doubled. So, and I've at 45, and we were almost just at 40. At 45, I will have tripled from when
So
I
what's
got.
that say about the future of your commodity, and what's that say about the future of your dollar?
And see, well, I want to touch on what you're touching on there, of all of the metal charts going up, and the dollar going down, and not needing to be a rocket scientist, and there's something going on right now that I don't think a lot of people understand, like of the mainstream for sure anyway. And the reason that the metals are going up right now, again, falls back to understanding the scheme that's taking place, and that it's that our dollar is being, for like you said, seniorage, devalued from get-go. And it can accelerate really fast, especially the closer you get to the end of its life cycle, the faster it starts to devalue, and especially if they're printing a lot of, fiat out of thin air.
Well, they
So,
really have to. That's the only way to
yes,
play that game.
yes, exactly. And since it's the type of system that it is, it has to keep inflating it at a faster rate, or it will implode.
Yeah, because they can't afford the debt with the dollar at its current rate.
So then not only just looking at the charts and seeing it, once you understand that part of it, it's you kind of have to. There's no, you can't hold the dollar once you know that that's literally hurting your family and your descendants. And I mean, you obviously are going to do what you can to support you and your family and those that you love. So you about have to, like you say, either spend your fiat right now on something that's going to hold value, or put it into silver and gold, real money that's going to preserve that value over time. But what so many people aren't understanding, like we're coming in and it's easy for us to see that chart going up. And I think if someone older was in the chat and they're thinking, yeah, well, I bet you'd have really enjoyed the ride down in 1980. If you bought in at $50 and if you've watched your value fall for that whole time and it still hasn't gotten back there, it took me to understand why there was so much hate in the community. Like, there's a ton of love in our community, but there's a certain aspect of people that just hate silver, right? And I'm like, why are they hating on silver? Well, it's because they weren't in the they're not their experience wasn't at the end of the fiat's life expectancy, right? And so they got to see that, oh, well, the silver can go down in value and stay down in value for a very long period of time. And so if you have that in your mind and you hear someone come on and they're talking like, oh, silver is going to go up and go to the moon and you need to hold it for a long time, that they get very hateful, because in their mind they're thinking, you're going to make someone experience what I just have experienced for these past, however many years it's been, 20, however many long years it's been, 40 years. So, but in my opinion, we're not at that time. We are at the end of the life cycle of the dollar. We when the dollar used to be, $20, a gold piece was $35 when we took it off the gold standard, and now we just hit 3,500, or we almost hit 3,500. That's 100x. So that if you've lost 100% of your value, I mean, it's not quite 100%, but it's, very close. You basically lost all your value there. So we are at the end of this life cycle, and the precious metals are going to continue to go up. Now they might have right now we're experiencing a pullback, but that doesn't scare me in the least. Like, I'm not worried that it's gonna keep falling and then stay down. I'm not worried about that at all. So
half of those people that took the ride down are those that are just waiting for they're just repositioning. Hey, I made some money, Hey, it's not profit unless you sell.
Right. But I for me, I want people to, like, from my mindset, I want people to understand where that I'm coming from, in that, the reason I am stacking and holding this is not like it was in 1980, where suddenly it's going to shoot up real fast and you want to sell right there so that you don't have to experience this next 20 years of a down cycle. That is a good time that when it goes up to that, but you do want to sell at that point. Me now, I'm not taking that. Knowing where we're at in the amount of deception at the end of the fiat's life cycle, I don't want to gamble over trying to get out at like when we were just at 40 and now it's down to 36. So I should have sold it. Not for me, no. Because by the time you get out and try to get back in with premiums and as fast as this thing can move up just as fast as it came down. And I expect this type of volatility to start happening.
Hey,
Extreme
I'll be
volatility.
right back. 1 second.
Okay.
Pardon me.
Yep. Yep. I'm going to say hi to the chat right quick. We've got Tiger Stacker. Thanks for being here, bud. Good to see you. How you doing? Hope you're well. B. Taylor, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Stuart, good to see you as well. Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker, thanks for being here. Good to see you. Hope you are well. And 888 the Great, always good to have you. You have that other order is on the way, my friend, so keep your eye out for that.
Sorry about that.
No, yeah, that's all good. Truth Seeker, Gerald Draper, good to see you guys. So
who all we got in here, B? I missed it. Who?
Oh yeah, we got all good people. We got Tiger Stacker, 888 the Great, B. Taylor, Stewart, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker. It's a pleasure to have them in here.
Dude, no.
Stewart.
Awesome. What up, y'all?
Yep. And who else did we have in here? Gerald Draper was in here. Joseph Lopez, Truth Seeker. Good to see you. Yeah, so we are at the end of that life cycle, and we do. I'm not trying to get in and out. And I'm not. Everybody do what they want, but I just want people to understand. This is not like the 1980 area where it's going to be good to get out when it hits $40-$50. In my opinion, I'm not looking to sell at $40-$50. We're just getting started. And if you understand the scheme behind this, you'd understand where I'm coming from. Because if the high in 1980 of $40 that everyone's looking at now, according to our devalued dollar from that point, is like $200. We need to hit $200 right now to equal the 1980 $40 at the level of depreciation to our dollar. So we're just getting started, guys. And so, I'm not looking to get out and get back. If you think you can make a few dollars and you have a connection that's going to hold it for you, or you can get back in without a big premium, then okay, good for you and do what you want. I'm not gambling in that way on that. I want to accumulate more, slow, steady, anytime I can. Don't really care where the price is. I'm buying because I know what's happening to our fiat dollar. Now, obviously, take advantage of the dips. You want to buy a little bit more when it's down, obviously. But that's how I'm looking at it.
I feel like this is a moment for a disclaimer, in a way. Sure. I think me and you have both made this point really clear. Look, when we're at the point of talking about the end of a life cycle of a dollar, what we're kind of getting back to is the roots of commodities in general. Okay.
Yep.
And I just want to take a moment to reflect, like for future viewers, like our chat right now is solid. Yeah, right. Everybody in here is solid, dude. Yep. I ain't worried. But for the chance of a future viewer watching, like, I want to make this really clear. You better have your home in order before you're worried about stacking silver and gold. And there's a way of thinking about it, and it's called, and I refer to it as the pillars of wealth, and it's food, water, land, shelter, and the things you need to survive. And that's why we're doing the metals. That's why we're doing these investments in metals and for long-term survival. But you really got to get these things in order so you're not driving yourself into debt and having to sell off your silver at the wrong time, so that, you don't want your silver to have to feed you tomorrow, the day after you bought it. And
For sure.
and so like you really want to get your home in order. Get out of, if you're in debt, you at least start working on your debt. If you're going to be working on your silver, match your silver and your debt pay, you know, and at least match them, and try to
Yep.
kill that debt, because that debt is what the
It's eating at
precious
you.
metals community is fighting. At the end of the day, we're fighting against debt. We're fighting against a lot of other things, but amongst that is debt.
Yeah.
And so you kind of gotta, if you want to live it, you gotta be about it, and it's the best way to recover. It's the best way to stack. As soon as you end paying for things, the more things you can get rid of paying for is the more you can put into your stack.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, you don't want to have to buy good products. You don't want to have to buy flour, right? You don't want to have to buy flour when it's $20 on the shelf. You want to buy it when it's $5 on the shelf. You don't want to buy your bread at $15. You want to buy it at $3 or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm getting at. You don't want to buy your tools when you're in a crisis. You want to buy your tools now. You want to have your vehicle now. You got to have a home now. You don't want to do this in a crisis. Precious metals are to hedge your
Yeah. Yeah.
to insulate yourself and insulate your property and yourself and your family and your homes and your food. Insulation.
Yes, I fully agree with all that. I will say that I have heard people say don't buy silver until you get out of debt, and I personally would say, like Space Miner just said, be working at, well, definitely work towards getting your debt paid off, because there's no need to be throwing money away to someone else for no reason. Um, but I don't agree with the people who say don't buy silver until you get out of debt, because a lot of people have a lot of debt, and some people might not be able to just get out of debt very easily. And if you can put a little bit into silver, even with a credit card, if you're having to, if you can put it into that instead of something that's going to end up depreciating in a few weeks or not of any value, then over time, even though you're still having your debt, because if you weren't stacking any metal, you're still in debt. You're still having debt. You're still having debt. And until you understand the scheme and what silver really is and have experienced it, you can't, all is debt, 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 debt. This is your life. This is your,
Spilling the money out to nowhere. You never see it again.
right, like paycheck to paycheck. That's just the way it was for me, and so I had credit card debt and used a credit card to start purchasing. But what I noticed over time was, yes, I still have debt, but now I have a stack of money over here that has no debt attached to it, and it's actually making more value. And once you figure out that, then your mind will start to be like, whoa, I can get out of all my debt and put it all in. And then you're on a rocket ship as compared to where you were going, because you were falling. See? So, for me, yes, get out of debt. That's bad. It's eating at you for, no reason. Basically, if you can get out from under it, you'll realize, wow, there's no need to be throwing them a bunch of money for, for what, just so. And that's, anyway, yeah. So, but I would say, get a little bit of silver. Don't hurt yourself with it in debt. But, like the one thing that you don't want to do with silver is buy some that you have to turn around and sell the next day, like he also said a little bit ago. That is one way that you can get hurt with silver.
That hurts your feelings too.
Exactly. So
that sucks.
Yeah. Now, I will say, like, even right now, Tiger, he showed on his channel that, he got in a bad, life comes up with, situations that you're not expecting, and when tragedy strikes, this is one of the reasons why we have our medal. That's why I did it. It was never for me, like I said earlier. It wasn't that I came into it wanting to get rich. That was literally not even on my mind. I was wanting it to help with all the lies and the chaos and the threat to my family. I was always a paycheck to paycheck guy. Didn't even think about money, but but yeah. So if you need to sell it in an emergency, that's why you're getting it in the first place, mostly. So yes, if you have to sell on that you're very happy that you had it, right? Because if you weren't and all you had was debt, well, now you're in so much debt you can't even afford to keep up with it. So,
Yeah, now you're losing stuff, not gaining stuff.
right,
You know,
right. But you don't want to buy some today and buy too much, and then, oh, I forgot I need groceries for the family this week, and now I have to go back to the bullion store and sell it back to them, and I just lost all my premium and my sell back loss. You lost on both sides, and you're out your solar. So you just threw money down the drain for no reason.
can I tell you what I do for my
Yeah.
bills and shit? I prepay everything. I and this is, a lot of people would call me dumb for doing this too, but no shit. I walk in and I prepay all my fucking bills. I pay them way ahead. Like I put money on the books with these people. I hate it. I really do, because I'm like, gross. You're holding all this money and I haven't even used it yet. But
No, yeah.
I do that like every year. Like the first money that I start making every year, because I obviously I'm seasonal, you know. But the first bit of money is completely dedicated to bills, like bills, 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 bills. Prepay all my insurances, get my registrations up to date. Pay, prepay anything I can prepay. I do it, and I don't buy anything until I like cram my bills out of the way, right? Phones and everything. But after that, all of a sudden, every dollar that I have can either go to next year, or it can go to investing in my future. So I'm like, but I'm going to say this: nobody gets out of debt without getting their teeth punched in. Like, something's going to hurt. If you're doing it, if you're really escaping debt, it's going to freaking hurt, and you're going to have to take a hit somewhere. You're going to have to reduce your quality of life. You're going to have to like give some possessions up, something, you know. And but and that's kind of like the way I feel with the prepaying of the bills, you know.
Yeah.
But once it's done, every dollar, I'm done worrying about anything, and every
Right.
dollar gets to go to whatever the flip I want it to go to.
Right.
And so ever since I've been buying metals, I can hopefully hold them out for at least a year. That's the goal. Hold them for at least a year, you know, and see where it takes you. And every year, dude, it's like I'm getting, you know, because if you flip it, you play the timing games and you flip it a little bit, try to buy some lows here and there, you
Sure.
know. But you got to be able to be out of debt to be spontaneous with your money too.
Right.
You can't be worried about like, oh shit, am I going to be able to drive around,
Right.
if I make
Yeah.
this purchase?
Yep. Yep.
Like, you can't do that. You better have a full tank before you buy an ounce of silver. Not
Yep.
not actually, you know what I'm saying, but
Right.
that kind of attitude, you know.
Sure. Sure.
And
Yeah. Yeah. It does you no good if you got to turn around and sell it for something. That's not at all the point for me. So.
it's not a cure-all, and it ain't going to make you rich overnight.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's why, to me, I mean, it's so much better if you can understand the mechanism behind what is making it so valuable. because it's not actually changing. It's it's silver. Now it actually, I think it will, when realization comes to how much we need it. It is going to gain in value quite a bit, I think. But right now, it's not what's changing. It's the dollar that's changing. It's the fiat that's changing. And so, to me, you need to
Mhm.
understand that. And like, once you understand that the fiat is on a downward trajectory, and like I said earlier, that we're getting to the end of its life cycle, that those are the keys. That's what you need to understand. Is that your dollar is going to continue to devalue, and that we're getting close to the end of its cycle, so it's not gonna, like it just had a strong point, like we just had it rise just now, just this last week. The dollar has gotten stronger and the metals have came down, but it's been this way. It's been the opposite for quite a while, and now, just this week the dollar has gotten strong, but that's going to be a short stunt, and then the trajectory is going to continue again. It's going to switch back. And so we're at that point where, again, it's not like 1980 where it's going to suddenly the dollar is going to start to strengthen and stay strengthening and strengthening the dollar, and the metals are going to fall hard and stay low. That, to me, just my opinion, is we're in a different time right now than that time. So again, for me, it's not about selling off at the highs, because then I gained a bunch of fiat. You don't want a bunch of fiat right now. That's the opposite of what I mean, sure, you understand what I mean.
Yeah. And that makes me want to say out loud too. Every time silver goes up, I'm not just cringing at how much freaking fiat I'm going to have to throw at it, right? I'm also kind of cringing because that old saying, yeah, gold's up, but what's the price of bread? You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah. We just explained this to OC Stacker. He's just now figuring this out. So it's good that he got a chance to hear us.
what up, OC? And
So,
no, but so people think, like, people look at the go. Oh yeah, this is another mental trick. They kind of they get people like tunnel visioned on this, right? You know that we look at the price of gold in USD and we see our chart, okay, and it looks a certain way, okay, and then we look. Oh well, what's it cost in euro? What's costing uh uh GBP or gold?
right.
British pound, yeah. Um, you know, and we get used to correlating, like, oh well, because there's differences in the dollars, and these prices are going to look different, but they always in their mind see the chart the same way, but they don't realize that when you switch that base currency up, that chart's going to look different too. Just because it rose in America today does not mean it rose everywhere else either.
Right. Right.
You see,
Yep.
that some other country gold might have gone down today, you know,
Yep.
and that's another people, they've got everybody wrapped up into this that our baseline is the US dollar,
Yep.
or that
Yep.
gold is the baseline currency, and it really kind of is to the best of our system, you know. But the point is like, but even gold's not a flat line, you know. Gold's not a flat line on that chart, no matter where you take it,
Yep.
you know, and no matter where you take it, it's always going to look a little bit different. And and you have to understand, like you were saying, these core principles, the these core mechanisms of value, because it's not just money we're talking about. We're actually talking about man hour, like pure energy, like joules of energy, you know, and we're talking about actual input of products. It takes steel to build a dump truck. You see, and that steel has somebody, you know, in a loader, and somebody had a, you know, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, you make my point, but this is what makes the world go round, is these values. But at the end of the day, it's the time of our life we're spending away, and what's it worth for the little ones whose lives we're trying to promote too, you know?
And that's what's so deceptive about this system is, you're always thinking, well, I can just do what my parents did and see how they did it. I can be successful in that same way. And if you don't understand the scheme behind the devaluing fiat, you're in a whole different position than your parents or grandparents were in. The dollar was strong and remained strong back then, so you could get your fiat dollar and put that under your pillow, and you're doing good. We're
Mm-hmm.
not in
A
that,
mattress
we're
full
not.
of cash, right?
So, a lot of people don't understand this, and so they look at, and so without understanding the mechanisms that are taking place right now, you're it's gonna be a frustrating time,
Well,
and
people used to believe in the American spirit, the American machine, you know, because there was a time we ran a proud machine, but then we
yeah,
started pulling parts out of the machine, and you know, and the world doesn't trust the economic power of America anymore, because quite frankly, we're in a lot of ways not necessarily an economic power. Some
yeah.
ways we are, like we're still a big leader in technologies and stuff, you know, but
We've moved all our manufacturing out, and we did that because of the printing press. Again, the mechanism at hand that is causing us to be in the position that we're in. And it really, at this point, doesn't have a lot to do with other things. Again, once you get towards the end of the life cycle of that, it really starts having so much control over the system, and in a bad way, because we have to keep printing a lot more money now to maintain the system, and therefore it devalues a lot faster. And we don't have our manufacturing base that we used to have, that we used to live off of before we had to start pushing out the paper dollars to other countries, because we were the global reserve, and that, like, the whole system is designed off of this. And now that we're towards the end, I think America is going to be the one that's experiencing some of the most pain, because, like, to me, and again, this is from my understanding and take of it, now that, because you were talking about currencies and worldwide, and the charts changing differently. The gold may go up here today, but it's down uh, down under Australia. So those charts are changing all the time and differently. But now, for the first time, not only is gold at an all-time high in all the other world's fiat currencies, with the dollar kind of at the top of those for value, now actually gold is at an all-time high. It's peaked over everything. Now gold is the highest standard, in far as, at least viewing it from a currency's lens. All the currencies, now gold has hit an all-time high in all of them. And so,
which
if,
is really odd for a commodity. Just it's kind of odd in a way, you know.
sure.
There's only a
And,
couple commodities that could possibly do that, you
and
know.
so the
Gold
way
did.
I look at this is like that if you picture sea level and your eyes are just level with the seawater, and the dollar was above gold, and gold is the seawater. And now that gold has taken over, everything else is sinking, is underneath water, and gold is at the top now. And so, um I don't know where I was going with that, except for that. Oh yeah, so that now that the gold is on top of everything and all these other fiats are sunk down beneath, these other countries can now just start trading among, because see, the fiats have lost their, basically what's happened there is the fiats have lost their stronghold and are losing. They're still sinking, they're still underwater, they haven't quite hit ground floor yet, they haven't hit the bottom of the ocean, but they're underwater and they're sinking. And so that, to have your head above level with gold, you can remain positive, you're alive, you're surviving. And so I think now that the dollar has now it's reached an all-time high in the dollar as well as all those other currencies. I see the dollar kind of be at sea level. Okay, and soon, like, the gold has overtaken the euro as a store of value. It used to be the dollar was what everybody held, and the euro was number two, and then gold and other things. But now gold has overtaken the euro. The only thing that is above gold in storing wealth, because it's the world's reserve currency, is the dollar. More people have more value wrapped up in the dollar than they do gold. But as this thing devalues, you're going to see gold being that thing that stays above. And so now all you have to do, if you're the BRICS, if you're these other countries, even though their currencies are falling, that's for the citizens. If you can think of it in that way, that okay, so the citizens are, their fiat is still going down, but from country to country, if they can just start evenly trading commodity for commodity, they no longer need that strength of the fiat. That allows them to step away from having to have all of their trust and value tied up in our fiat dollar. And that's what I think the BRICS is. And so that's going to stay a thing. It's going to get bigger. It's going to grow because it's real. Whereas all those dollars that are underwater are going to stay underwater. They're going to stay soggy, and they're going to keep falling to the ocean floor. And so you don't want to hold your value there. And none of the countries do. They would rather have it in gold so that they can breathe, so they can survive, so they can remain above water. And so they no longer need to rush out and grab our dollar to survive. And that's why we have no more manufacturing, and we moved all that out, because we could push out our global reserve currency that all those other countries needed to hang on to survive, because it was above the water for so long. See, but now they don't need. Now all they need to do is trade real commodities with other countries and settle out with gold, and they remain positive. Who cares what their fiat public is dealing with? And so for me, I think that's where we're at, and that's what's happening. And so the BRICS and these other countries are gonna continue to do okay trading amongst themselves without the dollar, which makes those dollars keep coming home. The de-dollarization will continue. And so now we're going into the stable coin, which is deceiving the public into buying into our dollar debt, which is to buy a stable coin, you're just buying treasuries, which is what the government issues. That's our debt. They issue the debt, and now they've got, because the other countries weren't buying it, now they've got our populace through the tether, through the stable coin that they just genius act. Now the thing that no other country wants, and that's below water and sinking, our populace is buying. So, but it's going to keep that mechanism going faster and more, and all that's going to continue happening, the devaluation. And so real things is really what's happening. And there's been a big push for a long time, and we're really trying to be pushed off into a false reality. And you want to stay in reality. This is reality. This is real. Like a space miner was saying, there's someone, that has to be behind a tractor and a bulldozer and a mining rig, and to get this stuff out. You need it in your computer for your computer to work so we can have this pod. This is real. Whereas that drowning fiat that all the other nations are in and experiencing is going to continue to go into that false reality of not reality, not real. And I think any real thing is going to be better than the false reality. This whole you'll own nothing and be happy is, I think, it ties into this because they're trying to get us in that reality where, oh, you don't need real things. You can just live in a false reality and just be happy with the false reality. But
Yeah, but what's the government? What are all the governments trying to do?
they're remaining above water and doing real things and having gold and trading commodities. They'll still be in a real world, but they'll let their citizens remain in those fiats, which has just become a token. It's no longer above water. It's no longer strength above. It's now a token that has. It's just an. It's like okay, you're at Chuck E. Cheese's and you can have some tokens, and if with those tokens you can buy any of the plastic stuff, behind their desk with a few of those tokens, but you can't buy anything in the real way. It's just a permission slip, is what it is. And
B, I think this BRICS is kind of offering us a glimpse of the future in a way. Of our future in a way. And what I mean by that is a lot of these countries that are participating in the BRICS have already gone through these currency life cycles. You see what I mean? And they've already hit the rock bottom. A lot of them, they're already bottom out, realizing what real value is, and real value is real stuff, and I think so for a lot of them, culturally speaking, to have possessions is to have wealth. I have a home with a table and lights, you see, and it's this real stuff, right? And I call it I refer to it as a tangible asset based, economy, a TAB economy, tangible asset based economy, where you got to have something to get something, you got to have something to be wealthy, to actually live a comfortable life, and I think what, they've already experienced this, and now they're trying to find a way out of this, and so now they're developing this BRICS system, like you're talking, this direct exchange of goods under a balance, and they got to pick a balance, they got to pick a measuring stick, right?
Yep.
It's pretty obvious where they're going to go with that. They're going to go at their, they're going to go for gold and silver and precious metals in general and critical metals, but these are going to be their store of value because it's real stuff.
Yep.
And that is a danger to us who are still trying to live out this currency model, this fiat model.
Yes.
Yes. We had it right in the beginning. That's how we became the powerhouse.
Yeah.
That's why we were able to build this big, strong, thriving economy that we could pump out battleships and airplanes and whatever the hell we needed. And we also had cooperation. People wanted to cooperate with that. And so when we look at their future, what are they trying to do? They're trying to secure real things.
Yep.
They're trying to secure bulk commodities. They're trying to secure the most precious of commodities too. And they're modeling their systems to have these pure commodities like gold, silver, as their base reference line. That's what they're choosing. They could have picked anything, but that's what they chose. That's what they're choosing.
Yes, I mean, true, but I do want to step in there and say that gold proves itself to be money for thousands and thousands of years, and it's not because China says let's use this or so. No, it's that it's remained valuable to all people throughout all time because of what it is, because of the commodity itself, because of the asset that it is. It stores its value. It doesn't tarnish. You can't destroy it. No matter what it goes through, it remains pure. Um, and so it is money by itself. Like it's money because it's the best money automatically because of its traits. Just like a dog is a dog because it's a dog, and a human is a human because we're human. And
No, I like
gold
that
and silver is money
you're bringing
because
it.
it's money. What's that?
No, I'm saying that like I like that you're raising that point of like what it is that makes gold valuable. What is it about metal, this metal, that
Yeah.
makes it valuable? Because
Yeah.
that's like a really important link
Yeah,
in
and that's
understanding like why gold means anything to anybody anyways, you know?
exactly.
And and that
Bellows
goes.
Forge, Broke Stacker, Sherry Ward, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Sorry, Space Miner, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, man, you're good because we've discussed this in past. In fact, we discussed this when I was in Albuquerque. You know that when we were talking about osmium. Like what's with the disrespect with osmium and iridium and rhodium and stuff? Like, what do you want out of your metal? Well, these meet all the qualifications of what you want. You want corrosion resistance. You want you know just resistance to degrading, in general. You want it to
Yeah.
maintain its form,
Yep.
resist. It resists change. That's what
Right.
these do, and that's what
And
makes them precious.
right, there's like so many things. I should actually sit down and just make a list sometime. But like with silver being the most electrical conductive out of the metals, osmium, silver used to be considered one of the most reflective, and
It
now
was.
it's because
Oh, wait a
osmium
minute.
wasn't even understood and hadn't been brought to the point that it's been brought to nowadays, where it actually takes the torch from that. So but yeah, it's the element itself. It's the well, osmium is being a great example. The most rare element known to man, the most dense element known to man, the most noble element. Like it's the eighth and final, and it ticks all of those boxes that you would want in a precious metal, like Space Miner is saying. So yeah, they're money because they are value. They have their traits themselves. That's what we call them, intrinsic value. And it's not like it's one little thing. No, it's an array of things. And you get into metallurgy, like we were also talking, and I was trying to bring up with you, is you take a unique trait from this metal and tie it with this metal, and you get a more robust metal for a certain type of use. And so the pure metals movement that I like is you need these elements, you need them in their pure form. Yeah, I love metallurgy. The things that metallurgists can do with metals is amazing. What Space Miner does with metal, and him and his friends are mind blowing. So but it's the literal element itself that is the value, and that's why the bricks are using it, because it is money. And it's us that we were on it ourselves before we tried this false reality thing, and they're just finally kind of coming out of that, and at a point where they can get out from under it because they were tied into it through the wars and the Bretton Woods, and they're just now to where they can get their head above water themselves without having to hold on to that life raft dollar that I was talking about, because that kept them above water. Now that's that fiat dollar is underwater, but they have gold, which is above water. So,
Well, and
or
you know,
instead of
it,
above water, it is like it's that's the thing, is it is the money. Like it is the water line, and it's the fiats that are now below it. And so when you're in it, you're always above water because it is the line. Like that's kind of the
Mhm.
thing. It is the money. But anyway.
No, and with that, if you're into precious metals already, you know, this would be a very opportunistic time. This is a really unique time in history in general. Let me just back up from that point. I'll find it later. We're in a unique time in history where the whole freaking world is broke, but we're connected than ever. You know, we have more people entering the market on a daily basis than most people were in the market 20 years ago. You know, and and it's not like you were kind of getting at earlier. We're not. Look, this ain't grandma and grandpa's little mom and pop shop on the corner anymore. Like this is a different world. You know, $5 don't buy pants no more. And you just it's just not the same world, and we're in a brand new style of market. You can't predict it the same way, and you can't consider it with the same old traditional values that we used to, because look how easy they just throw those away. And now we're at the point where it's almost like when that dollar's been so reduced, it's reduced us to back to the fundamentals of values. And I guess that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
get at earlier with all these other countries. We have been reduced into it. So this would be there's that point again. This would be everybody that's in this moment right now. Just imagine that the clock got rolled back 20 years. Like we're there again. This is like you could enter the market today. This could be your first day ever. You decide to step into metal, right? And this would be a great entry point right now for almost any metal. But
Yep.
definitely your precious metals, followed easily or paired with your critical metals. Like we're already seeing a a, a boost in the supply for alternative metals. And these metals are long overdue too. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to pump alternative metals on you per se, so much as I want to just kind of say, like, look, the whole world is recorrecting, and when it does, it's going to need all these metals, all of them,
Yep.
like this,
Yep.
right, all those metals.
Right.
It's going to
Yeah.
need them,
Yep.
and the majority of those metals are suppressed, are like purposefully suppressed because they're so critical. They're so critical that they had to tie them up with 99-year contracts and stuff like that. That they had to tie these metals up and suppress them everywhere they could. But the fact is, with the fiats crashing around the world, people are already making the call, saying, like in the stocks right now, I want physical delivery. They're already making those calls. I want physical. I want out. You know, and it's not just gold and silver and platinum. It's not just copper and nickel. We've got a slew of metals. You could almost pick any of those metals and just translate it to an appropriate timing, and you'd win. And that's what kind of world we're entering. Like we are absolutely reducing down to an elemental level. And because that's part of a crash, you got to pick yourself back off the ground, and you want to do it with a good foundation. This world is interconnected and smart enough and privy to what everybody else is doing. So don't think that these countries, with all their resources at their disposal, don't know what the guy next door is trying to do too. And right now, everybody's trying to boost reserves. Like everybody's game right now is reserves
That's why
on the national level.
right, what we call central banks, right? They're buying gold in larger amounts than they've done ever, really.
ever.
And yeah, so and those that's the central of power of wealth for the
And the
world now.
production of them is lower than ever too. Dude, productions across the world, no matter yeah, there's going to be some places doing a little better than others. Like, come on, guys. But seriously, like, look at like Mexico. Every year that production's been decreasing and their reserves are diminishing. Like there's been reports of Mexico only having like 28,000 tons of silver in reserve. You know, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think. You
And
know,
I think as we now that see, because yeah, we basically left the false reality world, which has been for this past since we left the gold standard. We've been in this la la land world where yeah, we can have a magic hat and we just print value out of nothing, and everybody thinks that modern monetary theory. Literally, there's schools on this now of thinking that this false reality can be true, and
no,
but now that everything has finally fallen down underneath the water level, which is gold is now above all of the fiats. Now um, reality is coming back into play, and that's why you see BRICS and they're just trading commodities, is because they no longer need that fake fiat paper to get them those commodities. Now they can just trade commodities and settle in gold and remain above water. And so reality is coming back into play. And, a lot of people don't understand that that's a thing, that we left reality and now we're coming back into it. And all of these metals are going to, in fact, most commodities are going to start gaining in value because, especially silver and gold, because they have been pushed down or kept out of value because that was our money. And when we tried to make people think that it's no longer money, you have to kind of put that out of sight, out of mind. It's not about, that's why, you know, they sold so much onto the market to try to keep that value down. But now that gold has reemerged even through all of the false reality, now that reality is coming back into play, all these commodities are going to start gaining in value, and the inflation's going to keep going because of our false dollar, and the commodities are going to, especially certain commodities, any commodity that is going to last the longest, not corrode, not mold, not bad, and foods are going to become very, these things are going to become very valuable again. Those will get the most inflation the fastest because they're real, they're really needed, you have to have them. Those will be the true measures of value, along with the rising metal
and
values.
dude, these can get sucked up overnight, man. Like you hear about the y'all hear, I'm sure y'all did, that billionaire that went in and bought like 1,000,000 ounces or something.
A tenth of the market of the yearly mining supply. Boom,
Was
one
it a
shot.
10th
Yep.
or was it
That was
1%?
a tenth. It
A
was a
10th.
tenth. Yep. At least that's what I think it was.
That's but it goes to show, like, and silver's pretty, for a precious metal, it's pretty abundant. Not really,
Right.
but it,
Not
it
not
is.
but not to our, like you're saying, not to our, that was just one guy who's not, there's so many of the billionaires in the world. Just like you said, if 10 more people did what he did, they're shutting the valve off for
Yep,
this year.
silver's off the table. Nobody's buying it,
So
dude.
yeah, it's not.
And how much more some of these more rare metals than gold? How about your platinum?
And you wouldn't even have to take all 10 off. If you took 5 off, think of what suddenly the industries that need it for their vehicles, their cell phones, if you just had 5 of those guys take, half of it away, I mean, their eyes would
It'd
get
be
big,
panic,
and then
bro.
they would jump in. I mean, there's just this is going to be what starts to take place because reality is coming back into reality.
You mind if I lean at some alternative metals here for a minute, just to?
Go for it.
So, like, I was talking with you a little bit about it, but man, I am definitely hedging my bets on the same principles that guide me with the silver, gold, platinum. These same principles, when you start applying them at your alternative metals, you kind of have, it's kind of like you're rolling the clock back 20 years. Some of these guys, some of these guys in chat been doing this longer than we've ever been involved in the market. And if they're holding pieces that they bought at the beginning,
right?
They won. Dude, yep. They won.
At like $5 they bought, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, now if they held every ounce that they had ever bought, now I'm not saying that that's the best way to do things. Like, it's really nice to use gold and silver for stuff. It's a good way. It's so honest. But beyond that, so that's kind of like my driving game with these alternatives, these alternative investment metals, like your rare precious metals, like your osmium, iridium, ruthenium and stuff. Man, this is the time, because most of the, like, let's call these byproduct metals for a minute, okay? Like silver, like this is what I was talking earlier, was silver is a byproduct metal. And we really don't think about it that way, but at the end of the day, it's a byproduct of something else we're mining, and that's part of what makes it valuable, because like there's very few places that we're like, oh yeah, this is a silver mine. There are, but most of these silver mines are, a lot of this silver is coming from copper and nickel, right? And it's a byproduct. It's always found with other stuff, and so then you look at platinum, right? All the byproducts of platinum are the rest of your precious metals. They're the byproducts of the platinum, and these are your most valuable because they take the most energy, and they're the most difficult to separate, and they're the most difficult to obtain, and they're in the smallest quantities, and so that makes them more valuable. Well, when you start applying that principle to your other materials that are being harvested, now you're like looking at like rare earths as an example. Some of these rare earths are byproducts of other rare earths, like, and this is, and a lot of your critical metals, a lot of your critical metals are found alongside other metals. So all these metals are dependent on other markets as performing as well. So when you get a bunch of copper and nickel mines start shutting down, silver's going to be hurting, And so whenever you start looking at like these rare earths, like for starters, America is not holding rare earths like China and Africa are holding rare earths, and parts of Russia, right? Mm-hmm. We can't compete with these. And then when you start getting into the byproducts of those, like your deep rares like tellurium and thulium and stuff, dude, you're talking about the rarest of the rare of produced metal. That these can offer you a chance of doing the same thing people did with platinum in the early days, and gold in the early days, and silver in the early days. It's like you can roll this back, so you don't necessarily have to compete with all the gold and silver madness. You can keep stacking those. Don't worry about the spot. Don't worry about the premium, because it'll be higher tomorrow. Okay, and then you can start if you've already got a stack over here, this would be a good time for you to start entering into some alternative metals, because there's some metals that, like the copper move just happened the other day.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It
that's
just
not.
got smashed down today, or the other day. But yeah. Yep.
But
No,
these represent opportune buying times.
Yep, exactly.
Like most of these are more rare than gold. We can start there. Used more than gold, demanded more than consumed more than gold. Used in more places than gold. What are we gonna do when the piper comes calling on those? Like we're this America's about to be hurting if we don't start making some friends with people again.
Yep.
If China shut us off tomorrow, dude, guys,
Yep.
it would change life as we know it. Like if China pulled the plug on us tomorrow, it would be end of life as we know it. But anybody holding those metals would be a freaking hero.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So let's talk. Speaking of rare earth minerals and rare metals, let's talk about this new product that I have.
I
So
thought I saw that on the table.
yeah, so over here what we have is a revolver cylinder, and it does have a hole all the way through. So this does spin if you want it to. But so if we look at it on this side here, it says it is, 1 second, guys. AG47, 3/9's fine. There is 3 ounces of silver for the cylinder and 6 ounces fully loaded. It says right there. So the cylinder itself is 3 ounces of pure silver. The bullets are a half ounce a piece. These here are a half ounce a piece. It says it on the back there. Half ounce AG 3/9's fine. And so these bullets are a half ounce, so 6 bullets makes the fully loaded weight 6 ounces. 3-ounce cylinder, 6 ounces fully loaded. And this came from Ian and his friend. This was their idea, and I just jumped onto the bandwagon there on the great idea and said, boy, as a kid, I used to reload ammunition. And I just noticed right away that what this really needs is a primer. And so what better primer to put in there than the new, most noble, most dense, rarest metal on Earth. If you like shiny stars, and there's the theory out there that metals came from exploding stars. So if you like shiny stars, and this is a very much fits the application. So we use the osmium.
You want to go on big screen, buddy?
Yeah, we use the osmium as a primer there. And yeah, so now this product that I'm showing, we'll go to full screen here in a minute, but this product that I'm showing, normally this one would be without the osmium. This is just a regular cylinder. I'm just using my prototype bullet here with the inset osmium. This is the prototype because when I was up, and it's got the little P right there, when I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Ian and Space Miner and Barry were online on a live, and we set the first piece of inset osmium into this bullet here.
So is that the first in the world, huh?
This is the first in the world right here. This is the prototype, and from that, I went in, I put in an order. I've got another cylinder right here that I'm going to show you. And I've also got the 6 bullets that are now inlaid with osmium as well. And we'll put that under the microscope and show that off. But it started off with this product, which is a beautiful product. It's amazing how well this was made. You can take a bullet and get one out. They're so well machined and so tight in there that when you drop one in, it just slowly glides in because of the precise machining and the air resistance there. So it's a beautiful product, and we're going my new product that I'm happy to announce is the let's see, I think I even have an official name for this. Well, let's see, what did I call it? The Osmium Bullet Bouquet silver cylinder. So we're gonna go ahead and get that loaded up, and I'll put it on the main display underneath the microscope and get a good look at it. But this is number 1. So this is my first product inlaid with crystalline osmium.
Dude, that's dope.
Fairly excited about it. I think it's an awesome product as is, but once we get it with these primers in there, I think it just takes it to the next level. So here we have an empty cylinder. Again, great machining on these cylinders. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit there. Woo.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful product. Again, it says right there, AG 3/9 fine, 3-ounce cylinder, 6-ounce fully loaded. And as you can see, I stamped an A right there because this is the first cylinder to be inlaid with osmium. So I'm going to limit these. So this is going to be a limited product. I'm pretty sure I know what the number is, but I'm going to discuss that with a few other people. I've talked to a space miner about it already. I think I'm happy with the number, but I'm going to hold off a little bit to announce how many there's going to be. But it is going to be limited, and this is A, so this is number 1, and I mark them. The cylinder is A, and then each bullet is hit with a help me out, Space Miner, a punch with the letter A and the number 1, and the letter A and a number 2, and the letter A and a number 3. So it'll be A 1 through 6 for each bullet gets its own number and is inlaid with the osmium piece. So, but this is number 1 here.
Ooh, dude, I'm clapping for you.
All right, so I'm getting this under the microscope. I'll get that adjusted here. Go up a bit higher.
Enhance.
Okay, let's see if I can still get a good. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Now we'll get our osmium number 5. Let's do number. Where are you at? Uno. Number 1. Oh, gotta come over a little bit. Number 1. All right, I am going to drop you back, Space Miner.
Do it.
Can you say something so I can make sure I can hear you?
I'm right here, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Okay, we're going to drop number 1 in here. Let me make this full screen too. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's go. Oh, let me.
I really think it's more of a pachow than a pachow.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll get it next time. Here we go with the pachow. Right. There we go. Beautiful. Oh, no, that's the wrong one still. That is not right. Wrong camera.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. So this is number 1. Okay.
Man, I love how that slides.
Right. Where is number 2? Here we go with number 2.
Yeah, and it's I like that you made sure to mark everything, because that's really important with that loaded cylinder.
Yep.
To know which one's which.
Yep. Got it all documented and marked on there. So I will show you one of these. They're stamped. Well, here I'll just use. Well,
I mean, you could figure it out with a little bit of patience,
yeah,
and a microscope.
You could figure it out with a microscope and some pictures and some research, but it's much easier just to have it documented from the start. All right, number 4.
What is this? A firing order?
Yeah, I should have probably went in order, huh? Actually, I should. Let's see. Let's do that. Let's go. Just to make space.
Goodness gracious.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, count them, buddy.
Here we go with number 5. Always want to count how many you've got in there. Okay, so let's see if I can show you the.
Yeah.
I'll show you the stamp.
And funny enough, you got your revolver set on a countdown.
A5 there on the bullet head. A5. Easier to see it on the other camera, but so there is 5. And last but not least,
Dun, dun, dun.
number chest. All right. Number 6. Let me see if I can adjust the camera here. Whoa. A little too much. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's see if I can get. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's starting to pop.
Fact. Let me try this. Oh, it shuts all the way off. Come on now.
Dude, that's so cool to see the whole thing full like that.
She's a beaut. Let's see if I can spin this around here.
I'm running.
Need some good music to this. But okay, let me bring it out here under the normal camera and show it.
Ah,
Switch back.
that's so fucking cool. Sorry, excuse my language, but wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look at the way that light reflect. Oh, it's all radial. The way the light comes off of it. Oh, that's cool.
It looks so much better with those primer, with the primer look in there with the like that really makes it.
It's really been missing the whole dang time. Like these years of people stacking silver bullets, and finally they have a primer. You know, like what in the heck? Like, dude, there couldn't have been a better option for a primer. No freaking way. Like, you could have
Right?
put something more realistic if you wanted, I guess, but at the end of the day, dude,
Oh,
precious metals.
this
Oh
is
my wordy. And the way the light reflects, it kind of rainbows too. You know, so you like that is so much color in that silver.
this is the pollen and nectar that
Do
bees
you
are.
have an osmium light with you?
I do. I'm just grabbing it. Come up with just a smidgen here. Uh, 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 get a little angle here. Here, I like to do the
Yeah, it always takes a minute to find it in the.
angle here I want.
Dude, osmium is so difficult to film. It's so hard to do it justice. Woo!
Get these adjusted how I want. I want this one in, out a little bit.
Did any of those rise above? How are they subsurface of the bullet?
No, they're just under the surface. They're just perfect. They're just almost flush, but barely sunk.
So right about that crystal line.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
if you hold it flat, you
oh,
can
look at that sparkle.
you wouldn't see the osmium, but a second you're just barely above plumb, you'll see the sparkly. So it's just barely inset when you're perfectly flat looking at the side. So it's like
Nice job.
they're a perfect set. They were made for the 3 millimeter depth, and he did a really good job on the depth. They fit just perfectly. So
Look at those constellations, bro.
right, yo.
Oh my wordy. Try. Oh, hey, will you rotate the cylinder in one direction or another for like maybe like 5-10 degrees?
Yeah.
Because they have
This way.
30-degree face. Yeah, let's try it about there. Try it again. Yeah, there we go. Maybe turn it just a notch more, just barely more. Rotate it just a scooch. I mean, a scooch of a scooch. Too much, too much. That wasn't a scooch. That was definitely a squatch. All right, there we go. That looks right. Jeez, amazing.
That is pretty, isn't it? Woo!
Looks wild, dude. It looks all Hollywood, you know, but it's real. You know, it's really like that. Like it. Oh, dude, I can't wait to see that in sunlight. Oh, I want to see one of those in sunlight.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Beautiful. Great work, B. Great freaking work. Here,
Well,
there's
thank
got to be a way into chat. I'm afraid to press buttons. I don't want to lose anybody.
All right, cool. It's pretty, says Stuart. I agree. I agree to that. Sherry Ward's got some pretty eyes going there. She's a beaut, Clark. Oh, nice. Dude, the funniest line is out of that movie where the grandmother comes out and he's plugging in his lights and they're not coming on, and the grandmother says to him, "Oh, but I can see it in my head," or something like that. Is like the way she says it. It's like the funniest thing ever. Was that National Lampoon's Vacation or something?
Dude, that is a great dual, and dude, that is a great way to like build an investment. You know, to build your stack. Like, dude, wait till the freaking. We gotta show more of the. Dude, there are a lot of people that stack the silver bullets. Like, they really enjoy the silver bullets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, this is like top tier silver bullet. Dude, it's the cylinder, perfectly machined. Dude, it's friggin' osmium crammed into the primers. That's a great dual investment. Like, one of those is a great dual investment in itself. Half ounce of silver and a 3 mil, you know?
Right.
Like, very accessible. It's a very accessible, like, price accessible, like one at a time or even as a set, you know, as a larger purchase.
Right. Yeah, and
Dude,
so this is going to be this number one piece here will be sold as a set. So this will be a one of a kind. You know, this is a proto. This is going to be number one. So you know, it's going to be sold as a piece. However, I'm also going to be selling the cylinders empty. So an empty cylinder that you can put the bullets without osmium in it. So you could buy a cylinder fully loaded with just silver, pure silver, fully loaded cylinder. You can buy that. And then also I'll be priming silver bullets with osmium and selling them singly as well. So you can buy an empty cylinder and just buy one bullet primed with osmium and you know, put one bullet in your cylinder and then wait a few months and then buy another one, and eventually you can fully load your cylinder with primed osmium, and you can have them, you can buy it immediately with just the silver as a set and then replace those silver bullets with the inset osmium, or however you would like to do it. But I will be doing again, this is a limited product that is going to be sold as a set. Each bullet was stamped A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6 with A stamped on the cylinder itself. So it's sold as a set. This will be sold whole. Those will be limited. Say again. You're breaking up. I can't hear
you.
You're pretty broken up. Can you say that again? Still not good. Try it again. You're coming in and out, but it's not clear. Oh, there you're coming back a little bit. So yeah, so the there will be unique pieces that will be sold. There's gonna be some collaboration more done with these in the future, but they will be limited. However, this is gonna be number one. This is how it will be sold. In the future, there will be more done to these and collaborations, but this is cylinder A, my Osmium Bullet Bouquet.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you good now.
All right. I think
Well, now you're gone, bud. And he gone. OC. So this. Oh, here he's back.
hopefully it worked this time.
You're sounding good there.
Yeah, I was asking you, have you decided if you wanted to write the sets as an X code?
Yes, these limited cylinders are gonna have X codes. Well, and so the idea, I may change this number, so I'm not nailed down to it, but I believe I'm going to limit these cylinders that are sold as X codes. That means it sells as one whole piece. Again, I stamped the cylinder. Normally, when I sell an empty cylinder, I won't stamp the cylinder. It'll just be an empty cylinder. And then when you buy a bullet with an inset osmium into it, it will just have a number, whatever. I'm going to number the bullets, number one, number. This was a prototype here in the back. But then from the next bullet I do will be number one. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to as many bullets as are done. We'll just keep number them down the row. However, these special X code osmium bullet bouquets will be limited. So they're limited edition. I think I'm going to do 12 of them. If you were a high roller back in the day, you'd have two gats strapped onto your side. So you'd have a total of 12 bullets. And so I think I'm going to limit, not for sure set on, but I think I'm going to limit them to 12. They're definitely going to be limited. But so this has to be sold as a set. And so, yes, these that are limited will be X codes, as you were asking, Space Miner, and will be sold as a premium piece together.
I like the X code because you doing the X code with the complete sets, the limited sets.
Yep.
Because it just makes the ownership of the piece like very simple, because you have all of those pieces tied into one X code. So that means you're own to transfer it or keep it or change it. You only need to enter it with one OCC,
Yep.
one change code. And so, like, you maintain it with one code instead of 6 codes. Now, those 6 codes are built into an X code, but the world doesn't get to see that. They don't get to see the individual pieces anymore. They only see the X code, the full product. And so it kind of like, I do believe it would be an enhancement of like the security of it,
Yep. No, I agree. And the normal bullets will be stamped 1 through however many I do, and also have the correlation in the COA of the osmium inlaid into it. These will be the COAs that I use for this particular product, the Osmium Bullet Bouquet silver cylinders will be this COA. So they'll come with the COA, and we'll keep all your information together for you. So,
OC trying to bust me up.
So yeah, so that's the product. What you think?
Dude, I think it was always meant to be,
Right?
and seeing it like it's so complete.
Yep.
You know, I've seen the silver bullets for years. I really liked them, but I haven't been buying them, you know. And but dude, now it's got this. You got the bullets, you got the cylinder, and now they got the primers loaded with the rarest, densest, most noble, and quite frankly, probably the most gorgeous of all of the precious metals.
Right.
You know, crammed into there. All the products are pure. It's it's uh it's a great dual investment. I mean, it's ultra like it's an ultra high secure piece. You know, all those
Right.
pieces are
Right.
ultra high secure. You know, trackable. That's another great thing about it. Like with the institute, with the crystallized osmium from the
Yep.
Osmium Institute. You know, like, dude, they have an app that you can like literally every day check in on the price of osmium, check in on the price of every single piece, you know, monitor your investment every day. And
Yeah.
then you can do the same with silver every day too. You know, it comes out to a good clean figure,
Yep.
you know, just nice and even. Dude, I think it's just so well put together. The laser engraving is dope on the back of the cylinder.
Yep.
Um, and the osmium's the identifiers for all the silver. So
Yep.
I'm like, dude, it's great to finally see like what looks to be like a complete set in the silver bullet world. You know,
Indeed.
like it's by far, you know, the top tier of the bullet silver bullet industry. You
Right.
know, like
Yeah.
come on, man.
Yep.
What else? You know, like what do you got to compete with that? You know,
Right. I mean
bigger bullets.
that's primo on the bullet side, right? I mean, who after seeing the primer like that in it, like you're just gonna that's what you would that's what I would want. Like if I seen the bullets and then I seen them with primed like that, I'd be like, oh, give me those.
Dude, that's it's top tier. It's top tier freaking stacker ammo, bro.
I would want it without understanding what the osmium was. Then once I figured out what it actually was, I'd be like, what? Oh yeah, I think it looks good.
Hey, I'll be back in 1 second. I'm gonna grab a drink.
Okay. Gatito Oso, good to see you, my friend. 210 stacks. Thanks for being here, Bud. Stewart, Sherry Ward, OC Stacker. Tiger Stacker, I seen you in here earlier. Thanks for being here, Bud. Who else we got? The Baroque Stacker, always good to see you. Bellows Forge, hope you're well. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Talking precious metals. How's everybody doing? Triple Eight the Great. Hope you're still in here. Osmium. Yeah, here's your new piece, Osmium. Right here. I just made a new investment piece here. And I have taken these bullets. I've taken a silver cylinder. So the cylinder is pure silver, 3/9 fine. It is a 3 ounce cylinder, and it's 6 ounces when it's fully loaded. And it's fully loaded with these very well machined half-ounce bullets. 3/9 fine, a half-ounce each, and they're machined so well when you drop it in here, it's just air resistant, slowly falls into the chamber. So I took this great product with the 6 half-ounce silver bullets, and I added the osmium primer into the center of the bullet so that it looks more real. So this is my new product launch here tonight. You're getting to see it firsthand for the first time. And it is a fully loaded silver cylinder osmium bullet bouquet loaded with crystallized osmium, the most dense, most precious, in my mind, the most beautiful precious metal on earth. And it is a one-of-a-kind product. This is number one. Actually, it's letter A. So they're going to be a limited run that are done this way, where it's sold as a set. But I will also be selling empty cylinders, so you could just buy the empty cylinder, and you can buy these bullets separately with or without the inset osmium and fill up your cylinder as we go. Why did I have this chart up there when I could have been showing it much closer? So yeah, so Osmium, here you go. Osmium, get yourself some Osmium.
Dang, dude, you just wiggling it out there like that. It was like, yeah, it really looks best under that light or sunlight or red light, dude. Do you have red light?
No, I don't, but I shall have to get one.
Yeah. You got to get a red light and start playing with it under red light. Yeah. Dude, I swear it, like, crystal osmium would be like, people would really enjoy that. Like people that go to like clubs and like nightlife activity and stuff, dude, they'd get a kick out of osmium. It looks so cool, like when lasers hit it, or when, you know, the red lights, blue lights, white lights, you know.
Yep. So this did hit 2,400. It's barely dropped down to 365, it looks like. But when we zoom out to the whole chart, we started a few years ago at 565 and ran right up to 2,400. So she's on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Indeed,
dude. It's a long way from done. It's a long road, but it's a long way from done. You know, so
for sure, it's just getting out there in the world. People are it just came to the U.S. I mean, me and Space Miner and Ian are the first people pretty much to get a hold of it. We've got a couple more people. We got two guys on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. We got one down south in Texas, and that's all there is pretty much. And then the people who have purchased from us here in the States, but it's came through us. So it's a new product into the U.S. and it's only been in Europe for what 10 years or something before it came over here, I think. So it's
2014.
Yep.
So yeah, dude, we're just getting warmed up. Well, you know, the real trick to the investment strategy to the crystallized osmium, the real price performance doesn't actually happen in our hands. The real price performance begins once we sell out, you know, because that's where the private market gets to take over, and it's like become fully privatized. And that's like one of the coolest parts about it to me, you know, coming from like the old crypto world, you know, like once this leaves the hands and enters the private market, like once we're sold out, you know, that it's going to be who has it and who doesn't, you know, and we'll still be available to like there. if we'll still be there to like certify and we're going to be, the end of the crystallization process is scheduled for 26 and December of 26. So
2026.
yeah. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to have run out by then, hopefully, but I don't think we will. I think we got a little ways ahead of us. But that the real price performance starts once it leaves. That's the Osmium Big Bang right there. When it's out of our hands, and now all these market consumers, all the ones that plan on using it, all the ones that have had ideas for it, this is when they start to take hold of the market, and you start getting competitive pricing.
Yep.
Because right now we're a natural monopoly.
Yep.
That you don't really compete in this field.
Yeah, and so this
Sorry,
is
go
my
ahead.
first. This is my first artistic piece and release. I have another piece when my osmium nectar arrives that I'm going to be inlaying that I'm quite happy with the design on as well. But yeah, there's going to be people that when they see this and figure it out, they're going to know that they're going to want to do something with it in the future, design wise, and just getting into it is the key. Once you get it and you got it, then you can figure out how you want to design, what design you want to put it into. But at some point, it's going to be harder to get a hold of as you go. So getting in is a good idea. And Stuart, yeah, as far as as we were talking, with the ocean being your water line on value, you could definitely call the precious metals your snorkel for sure. I like that.
Yeah. I think, with it being put in that silver, it's so useful. Like, it's interactive, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Like, anytime that you could put osmium somewhere that you can kind of like interact with it and touch it and hold it and, move it around. And it, like you said the other night, and it's not just like this little tiny piece anymore. Now it's become the centerpiece,
Yep. Just
and
like the salvo here. That he's basically the first person to inlay this silver round with the osmium, and it makes such a great display for it. You can throw it in a capsule and it's a timepiece for good. You got your enjoyment of your silver, but you're also having a great way to keep your piece safe and display it and not lose it and show people and explain it, and so it's very cool.
well, and it also goes to show like how like why osmium focuses a lot on jewelry, because like a little piece can go a long way. Look what it did for that bullet. Look what it did for that silver round. I mean, just a little piece all of a sudden becomes this big thing happening, on whatever you're working with. And like,
Yep.
and there's a lot of guys that have no idea what to do with it, but they recognize that people are like making watches out of this and jewelry out of this, and they're like, people are going to use this, and they recognize that, people are going to use it, they're going to want to use it, and at the end of the day, if nobody uses it, it's still the rarest, densest, most noble of your precious metals.
Yep.
And it's got tons of usage as just osmium. So
Yeah, so if
osmium's not going anywhere, is what I'm saying.
except for up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show the Osmium Institute. I'm going to just show this picture here. So if you can see on screen those headphones right there,
Woo woo.
the bee got to wear for the Osmium Symposium 2025, and that's a highlight that I'm not soon going to forget. It was a very enjoyable set I had that night, and I got to have also another big treat that night was that Scarlett was over from Germany, and she came into the little booth there where I was DJing and waved to everybody. So, and I got Ian in the same DJ booth. Space Miner was in the booth. So we had a great time at the Osmium Symposium this year. And if you want to see me wearing those headphones, you can go to my live stream. Just go to my channel and type in Osmium Symposium, and there'll probably be a couple videos, but my DJ set was one of them, and I got to wear those headphones and also a gorgeous watch. And that watch was I was wearing it most of the day because Ian allowed me to, and I was talking about how much I liked it and would love to wear it, and I was setting it down, and Ian was like, "No, put it on." So I had it on most of the day, and so I had it on through the DJ set as well. And the second I set that thing down, that got bought. So that was pretty cool. So
Who bought it? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
So
But
it was cool. It was fun. It was a great time. Great new product. Great team we have. So I'm excited about it.
yeah, I think it's great, man. Like I came into Osmium as a nerd, you know. I was nerded out about it before I was ever thinking about it financially, you know. It's just
That's what's cool from your. That's why I like talking to you with the metals, is because you have, like, when we talked about how we got into silver, at the beginning of our stream and how we were viewing it. It's cool to hear us come from different angles, but and it's so cool to see you with the view that you have on metals and how you can work with them and the ideas that you get from them, and it's so cool to hear all that stuff.
oh man, it's just great to be part of it, you know. Get to meet people like you, right? Freaking building dango gorgeous ass Osmium silver shot, man. What in the hell is that? That is so cool. I'm sorry. All right, so the big question is, when are you going to start releasing those?
I'm hoping by my next auction. And so I will probably next week have Ian on, and then the following week, depending, I might put Ian off if the rest of my order comes through, and I'm waiting on some more stuff, coming overseas. But when I get everything and get it all lined up, then it'll be on. So if not next week, the following. So soon.
Oh man. Oh man.
Indeed.
I'm antsy.
And in the meantime, if anybody is looking for some osmium and a piece to beautifully display it, go check out Space Miner's Salvo. This is also going to be a limited run, and so definitely go pick up your piece. And it's a great way to carry it and display it, and yeah, go grab yourself one. Tiger Stacker, he knows, he's in the game. He knows about the product we're talking about. I don't know if he's
there's
picked
a
any
couple
more
people
up
getting
here
in the
late.
know. I was always a guy that just, I collected stuff just to have a piece of it, like, and that was good enough for me. But I kind of thought Osmium would be that way. I thought it was pretty cool. Man, I grabbed a piece, but when I got thinking about it financially, man, I started stacking it. I was like, yeah, I'm getting me some crystal osmium, man. Because, unlike this is what was really cool about the crystal osmium. One of the reasons I really fell for it was it was so ready to use. Like, you get a gold bar, you're still gonna have to like melt it down, molds, hammering, shaving, brushing, polishing, whatever, But with the osmium, it was just so readily available to use, and like a little bit went such a long way. like I saw like a real value in that, because there's so, like, let's face it, I hand you over a 1 ounce platinum bar, you're gonna have a tough time finding a jeweler to work with it. You know, I hand you over some silver, and yeah, most people can deal with silver. Hand you over some gold, most people can deal with gold, right? But
Yep.
it still takes a lot of work. But that osmium, man, you just, in a lot of things, you could probably just drill and set in a lot of cases.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't even have to mold for it, because you're talking about like a less than a millimeter's depth is necessary. You know, so it's just like the versatility and the ready use case, you know, I thought was pretty cool feature of crystal osmium,
Yeah.
ready
The
to use.
ready to use, easy to set, and you're gonna get a look that's gonna pop more than a diamond in most cases. So indeed.
Yeah. And I like things that I call it interactive, you know, like it interacts audio, visual, whatever. But, you know, again, look what it does for your silver rounds, dude. For your silver bullets, man. It just
Yep.
a little bit, and like bow, bow, like it hits it just right, and all of a sudden that those things are just moving, you know. It's, let's face it, like silver's gotten to be a bit boring in a lot of cases, you know, like people are like running out of new stuff to do with it, you know.
Yeah.
And much less something that moves around like that, you know. Arger has some Arger Herreras, or the Arger Herreras bars, however you want to pronounce it. They have the
Mm-hmm.
holograms. Those got a lot of color and motion. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But for something to just do it and that be the value.
Exactly right. And the most valuable, most dense, most noble, most inert, most just go on and on.
Highest value
To,
density.
to make that look, to make that pop, I mean, you couldn't make it any better, and yet it's the most rare, valuable, dense, non-corrosive. I mean, it's just so cool.
It's everything you'd want in a precious metal.
Yep,
It's
and some, yep.
every box. It ticks every box. The only thing that you might put consideration towards is liquidity. And the only reason the liquidity ain't there is because it's so dang new. The liquidity
Yep,
will be there. I mean, it's growing every day.
yep,
You know,
yep.
we know, because here in America, you know, there's only a few of us, you know,
Yeah,
we understand a little bit about like what's coming and going. And I'm
yep,
telling you, the liquidity's building.
yep,
It's happening every day, man. I wouldn't
yep.
say every day, but you know,
Yeah,
it,
and just looking at that chart earlier, right? Like, the sooner the better on that as far as that goes. That's for sure. I mean, it's funny. The one place where the chart falls off a little bit is right when I bought in, and that's so funny. It's like I bought in, and it's like everything else, it dropped a little bit. I mean, it's just a steady incline, especially here of
of
late.
course it
It's
had to
really
drop. You bought.
exactly.
Fucker. No, but dude, I've been convinced since day one that because of like how little there is out there in the world, like or is going to be, um, that you could, if it, that just the people buying experimentally is enough to make a significant difference. But if you had, you know, the right amount of people buy in at the same time, you know, between experimental buyers and long-term buyers and craftsmen, if everybody just kind of bought in at the same time, like this this could clear the shelf really fast. It still
Yeah,
could,
I mean,
you know.
especially looking at the possibilities that are still out there. Like it's so new and so unexplored. I mean, we just at this new quantum angle that's coming on from quantum computing and looking at some of those areas. I mean, that's just explosive and dangerous. Really, I mean that could really that could really suck everything up if they find something that really ticks for them. Instead of just looking at it heavily like they are right now and being excited about it, once they get something locked in with it, woof. And as excited as they are about it right now, and as much work as they're doing and looking into it and seeing what it's different used cases in quantum computing and other things like that, one of these days it's going to stick. And
Well, it's already a fan favorite in a lot of different types of alloys. Like one of my favorite examples is it's a shipyard up in Northern Europe, somewhere up there. I forget exactly where, but it's a shipyard, and so they're constantly rolling these ships in and out of it. But their bearing sets, they're depending on the weight of the ship, they were either replacing all these bearings either every launch or every so many launches, but the point is they were constantly
right.
rebuilding these ship rollers. And one day this one particular company bit the bullet and went with an osmium alloy. And this was like 10-15 years ago. Haven't replaced a bearing since.
That's so
Like,
cool.
and this is why, like, these osmium is used. That's one of the many reasons osmium is used. But it's really important it's still a really important alloy metal for like extreme use cases.
Right.
NASA uses it for all sorts of purposes. Like our military uses it in our stealth fighters. All of our stealth fighters have like osmium alloys in them, and osmium contact points in like electrical points, in certain electrical points, osmium, like osmium tip, and like there's like it is used in let's see, it's in the Curiosity rover. It's in a few of our satellites.
The
It's
Curiosity rover over in
yeah, what is it, New Zealand or something?
Iran. Iran is where they.
Yeah, is it Iran?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what they use it for.
Yeah.
But not just that. It's in medical devices. In scanning devices. It's in it's in telescopic devices. Like it's in it's used in cancer treatment and diagnosis. Like there's a couple types of cancers that can only be treated with equipment that uses osmium. Because they use osmium as like a background because it's so dense and stable. That they can see everything like a lot clearer, and they can treat things like cancers, like certain type of cancers. It's
Yeah, I heard that was used in cancer treatment. I didn't know what exactly how it was being implemented.
yeah, they use it as backgrounds. Like I was saying, because like some backgrounds are thicker, and so it's harder to distinguish. But I mean, some are like less dense, and so it kind of creates like a fuzzier picture.
Sure.
But then you get it real dense, and you can start seeing things better. And then they use it as like windows because of its certain atomic repellent qualities. Like it'll resist gamma rays and stuff. And so they use what's that?
And high heat, yeah.
Yeah, like dude, it has got so many applications used, like super important critical applications it's still used for. Like every day, normally, biological stains is a huge industry. Catalysts, like biological catalysts, certain petroleum catalysts, certain like polymer catalysts. Yeah, osmium's used regular. So have no fear. There is a
Osmium is here.
yeah, dude. And as far as we're concerned, in a lot of places, it's mostly irreplaceable. So they're going to still need it. They don't need much, but they're always going to need it, you know. But it doesn't take much again, it never takes much osmium to really go far. You don't have to invest much to get a big return either, you know. So.
Indeed. Well, yeah. I suppose it's getting running towards midnight over here. Are you same time zone? Is it 11?
Yes, I am. I got 11:41.
Yep. Are you doing the firefighting tomorrow again, or? Yeah.
I'll be up early.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then they've got us in critical, so we're on early and on till late. It depends. It just changes on the night how late. So, but we've got a lot of lightning and storms going on, dry lightning. There's no rain with it, and just thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
So, yeehaw.
Well, yeah, I guess it's good to get some work in there, though. Like you say, it's kind of. Guess you don't have that many fires wintertime, do you?
No, not really. And when you do, it's yuck. Yeah, that's the worst kind you want to go on, especially when your equipment is water. You got to keep everything thawed. Oh, I had to do that at one fire, man. It was so cold. I'd have to I was starting the truck and putting the exhaust on it and putting tarps over everything and antifreeze and everything.
Yep,
and
I've been there. Yep, tarping up your tractors, trying to get them started in the freezing weather.
Yeah, dude, there was no sleep. It was only thawing. I didn't get any time to sleep. I had to be up early enough to thaw that every morning. Yep. It was terrible. But anyways, it was fun.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm appreciative of you coming up here. Thank you for coming and enlightening us on some of your metals knowledge. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me. Congratulations on creating the world's top tier silver bullets.
Right.
What did you call those one more time? Let me get that down.
Look at that.
Your silver bullet bouquet.
Yeah, it's not official, but so far it's the Osmium Bullet Bouquet, silver cylinder.
Osmium Bullet Bouquet. Silver. Yeah, now you know why the military developed acronyms.
Right. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's what I think I'll just go with the Osmium Bullet Bouquet. But yeah, that's what I got so far on it. Let me know in chat if anybody's got any great names for it. Let me know. Drop them in the chat.
Seriously though, congrats. Dude, that is a really, really, really gorgeous assembly and a really smart one. And I really think it really looks like it was just waiting for it to happen.
Right. It was needed, wasn't it? Yeah, it's very fitting, I think. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, great capture.
Cool, thank you, appreciate it. Osmium speed loader. We were talking about that earlier. How we could because they have those quick feed. Well, at least I've seen them with fast revolver that do those competitions. They have some kind of quick load where you can just push a button and it drops 6 new bullets in it right quick. I don't know if you've seen those Space Miner or not, but
speed loaders, yeah,
that'd be kind of cool to have a speed loader and just.
Yeah, it's all chunk. There's a. Don't make me say it. $1,200. Chunk.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys out there in chat for hanging out with us. Greatly appreciate you. Good to see you all. And we will be back this weekend. Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I'll think about what I'm doing. But yeah, I'll be back this Saturday anyway, which is, let's see, it's tomorrow Friday. I think tomorrow's Friday. But and I should have, another unboxing soon of another exciting product that I've been waiting on. So yeah, we've got more coming on the way, so stay tuned. And yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk soon, Space Miner.
Sounds like a plan, man.
Buenas noches, indeed.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, guys. We will catch you all on the next one.